So there are three different plans under business assurance, Busi, that we offer to business owners. The first one being contingent liability plan, the second one being a key man plan, and the third one being a buy and sell plan. Now let's start with the contingent liability plan. Now imagine you and your friend, Busi, go to the bank and you say, listen, bank, we want to start a company, an investment company, a property company, and we want a loan. We want a business loan, or we want to finance our assets, right, Kurula, or we want some kind of overdraft facility. And the bank says, okay, great, we'll give you that credit facility. And what happens is that you sign a suretyship agreement, right, between you and the bank. And what happens is that you and your business partner now become jointly and severally liable for that debt. Now, what happens? So the company is now running, okay, and it's profitable and it's doing well. What happens in the event that your business partner passes on? That other owner of the business passes on or experiences a disablement. In steps contingent liability cover that says that in the event of those two events, this policy will be cashed in by the entity and it will be used to settle that outstanding debt of the other owner, right? And the structure of that contingent liability plan, Busi, is that the owner, the payer, and the beneficiary of that policy, which is a life policy, is the company. And the different owners are the people that we insure. So they are the lives assured. So there's a contingent liability agreement that states that this is signed between the entity and the business owners, that in the event of death or disablement, the proceeds of that life cover will first go to settle the debt and cancel that suretyship with the bank for the deceased owner, right? And then that policy really is doing what it's supposed to do. It's settling that debt of the deceased. The benefits of that contingent liability is that the remaining owner can continue with their business without the added pressure of an extra debt. And imagine if they took more debt than you did, right, as the surviving business owner. So the bank cannot come to you in your personal capacity, and your legacy will continue to live, right, for your families and those that you leave behind with that kind of proper structure around debt management. That's the first scenario. The second scenario that business assurance really covers for business owners is a key man policy or a key man plan. Now, we all know that the bloodline of a business is employees, right? But there are some employees that are more important than others. And these employees are the ones with the skills, the expertise, the knowledge, the business relationships that drive the profitability of the business, right? And so, in essence, businesses really need to assess who in their company are those individuals that if anything happens to them, our profitability is a serious problem, right? It will affect sales, it will affect revenue, and the overall performance of the company. The solution to that is a key man policy, right? And the structure of the key man policy, very similar to a contingent liability, says the company will nominate this key man. It can be a director or it can be an employee of the company, as long as they are essential to the profitability of the organization. So the company becomes the owner, the payer, and the beneficiary of a life policy. And the different individuals or the key men are the people that we insure. So in the event of death, disability, or severe illness of these particular key individuals, the policy will be paid into the company's bank account and it will be used to protect against the loss of revenue. Now, an example of protecting against loss of revenue is that we can use that proceeds as a company to attract someone of the same caliber quickly, right? We don't have to go and look for the money. That money is coming in through a policy, and we can hire someone with the same caliber, or we can actually upskill someone who was probably coming up as a key person in the company. And I think the benefits speak for themselves, right? There's business continuity, there's very little loss of revenue because we've lost someone who was significant to the organization. And then lastly, we talk about a buy and sell agreement, Busi. Buy and sell agreement is different in the sense that you've got a situation where you've got shareholders, right? And the shareholders take out a life policy on the life of the other shareholders in the company. So if you've got shareholder 1 with 50% shareholding in the company, shareholder 2 with 25%, shareholder 3 with 25%, we take out a life policy on each other's lives. This is no longer going into the company. And a buy and sell agreement really answers the question of, if anything happens to one of the shareholders, if they die or there's disablement, the remaining shareholders can purchase the shares of the deceased shareholder. And they can also purchase a loan account if he had a loan account. The beauty of a buy and sell agreement, Busi, is that the proceeds, right? So the obligation is created through a buy and sell agreement. It's a contractual obligation saying that the deceased is obliged to sell his shares and the remaining shareholders are obliged to buy the shares. When they buy the shares, the cash value will be paid to the family members of that shareholder that is deceased. It will be a cash payment at fair value to those families of the shareholder that passed away. So that is, in essence, the structure of a buy and sell agreement. And like we said, the benefits of a buy and sell agreement, I think the theme is business continuity, generational wealth. How do we continue to see a company that still remains, after all the years, Busi, you've mentioned 2 Stokvels that remain, that are in property, right? The other benefit, Busi, as well, is that you don't have an external person coming in. Maybe it is a wife, maybe it is a son who really does not have the experience of the business, and they can be a bit disruptive to the business. So you're really closing up on that risk element as well. Those are the 3 plans, Busi: a contingent liability plan, a key man plan, and a buy and sell agreement, all underpinned by a life policy.
Wow. Wow, thank you so much, Portia, for highlighting that. You know what? It's so amazing that in 1998, when we as Kemano Stokvel, we decided to buy this property in Kruger Park Lodge, a Hazy View. One of the ladies said, "Ladies, what if something happens? Can we take a policy?" And we all said, yes, yes, yes. But I'll be honest with you, no one explained this whole thing as clear as you are doing now. But of course, yes, unfortunately, life happened. 2 of our members passed away. And actually, the first one, when she passed away, immediately that policy paid and it reduced our debt because we had just taken on a loan to purchase the property at Kruger Park Lodge. But I didn't know what it was called. Now I know that it's called, it's a contingent policy. But fast forward, her children are now beneficiaries because they are protected by the virtue of the fact that their mom's life was covered within the company. By the way, our Stokvel registered as a company. And I'm saying this for the benefit of other viewers there because, we know that Stokvels are informal and all that, but it is important to actually now approach or register your Stokvel as a company if you will be going through these investment this investment journey, so that, for example, you can be able to get benefit from insurances like the one that Portia has highlighted. So for me, I think this is really quite a aha moment, in the sense that we know that Elokshini in the townships, when the owner of the shop that has been around for the past 40 years, siyavalwa isitolo, because the owner of the shop has passed away, probably because there was no key man insurance, I think. you know. So these things that these different policies that we've just mentioned now, you know, it's things that we don't know about as small businesses, and especially Black people, because this kind of conversation does not normally take place in our, you know, in our environment. Yeah. So
Yeah,
thank you
no,
so much.
absolutely.
Whether you want to add anything more,
Yes.
Post.
I really do want to add to that, Busi, that, you know, even established, companies, Black-owned companies, in the, you know, very significant sectors are really not knowledgeable about business assurance. And so I'm really glad that, you know, we can get an opportunity at the level at Stokvels to really bring this information out. And just to add one more thing, Busi, I think we also mentioned that, is that Stokvels also now really can branch out and invest some portions of their monies, right, into long-term products, right, that can serve a purpose. So we have particular products that can serve a Stokvel community, that can actually be split into different bundles with a goal. So you can have a goal for your future, for the children's future education. You can have a goal for them traveling overseas, for them taking a gap year, for buying property for them. So I really think that still a major gap as well in our Stokvels. And obviously, lastly, for business owners, to do the basic thing around financial planning, which is putting a will in place. So foundational, so important for business owners. And as they do holistic financial planning, they'll begin to understand how their businesses affect their personal life. So they'll be able to really do complete estate planning, to ensure that they continue to leave legacies for their families. Thanks, Busi.